Straw Hut Media.
Hang on to your husbands, girls, and welcome to Release Date Rewind, a podcast where we celebrate movie anniversaries. I'm your host, Mark J. Parker, a movie lover and movie maker, and thank you for listening to this on the Straw Hut Media Network, wherever you get your podcasts, or thank you for watching this on YouTube. I'm all caught up on my September movies, so now it's finally time to dig into some October favorites that are having birthdays this month. Let's open up the spell book again and discuss Practical Magic. The witchy rom-com thriller about the Owens sisters is 25 years old now after being released in theaters on October 16th, 1998 in the US. Now, fair warning, spoilers are coming up quick, so if you haven't seen this movie or you need to rewatch, it's currently streaming on Hulu. Alright, witches, pause the Stevie Nicks and pour yourself a midnight margarita because it's time to rewind.
So, you know how, like, you know, witchy people, whatever, they like to, like, put their spells in, like, what is it called? Like a grimoire kind of, like, book.
What's that?
You know?
Yes.
Like, you know, when we're talking about practical magic, it's like the actual, like, book with the spells.
Yes.
Like, you just write and put stuff in. So, my nephew got me for Easter a couple years ago. He got me this Beauty and the Beast notebook.
Oh.
And it's literally what I put, like, for my manifestations and stuff. Like, it's so ridiculous, but all of my crazy, like, witchy, like, stuff is all in here. The Disney version.
You're the witchy belle.
Yeah. You know, I feel like it's like but it's not even like spells. It's literally just me writing about, like, what I want. Like, it's kind of like manifesting, I guess, you know, and having that, like, just like what, you know, like every new moon, full moon. Yes, I do that. I just kind of, well, not full moon. We release on the full moon. So, but new moon, you want to, like, write down, like, what you want from that month. So
right. Oh my gosh, I love hearing this. Okay, let's get into it, Sabrina. So we've started recording. I think we're ready. We're always ready.
Oh, we're always ready. Yeah.
Wow, I am loving this conversation already. It's spooky season, everyone. It's October. We are about to talk about practical magic, and you will be so excited, like I am, to hear the lovely voice of the one and only Sabrina Santoro. She's back on the show. Welcome back, I was about to call you my fair lady, my fair maiden, my fair witchy sister.
You can call me whatever you want. I love that.
You're back.
You know, I always love to be back. I love I could be here anytime you want, like any.
Oh my gosh, and I love that, and I know.
I know it.
I knew with this year, with Hocus Pocus and with Practical Magic and Charmed, which we'll talk about in a minute, all these iconic, you know, Sabrina, of course, was on the show for The Craft a couple years ago. She's been on a few times. Last time was already almost a year ago, and we were just saying, even though it's already been, 11 months, Dracula came out last November, it doesn't feel that long because we chat every now and then, and it's like, it's such a nice breath of fresh air to have you back, and especially when we can get a little dark and mysterious and witchy and mystical, right? That's right up your alley.
Little haunted houses back there.
Yes, the lights look good. You got the mood lighting. I'm a little too bright.
I even have my practical magic candles burning.
Oh, good. Oh, I love that. I should have a candle with me. I mean, my husband is a candle maker. You think I would be more prepared?
I know.
Instead, I was so focused on my.
Like, I need to get his candles at some point.
Yes.
You know.
Absolutely. Yeah, please let me know which ones you want. Salem Witch's Shop. You might like that one. That's a very popular one. But I was so focused on getting my Teen Witch spell book to show you that I was like, I forgot about my candles. But I'm just looking through. I highlighted years and years ago. Okay, everybody, I'm going to tell you real quick.
Yeah.
I got and how funny, Sabrina. I love it. So I was obsessed with this book. I was obsessed with many spell books because of The Craft, because of Practical Magic. I loved all this stuff. This book came out, at least the second printing, 1998. So 1998 was just the year of the witch, like we were saying, between Hocus Pocus, Charmed, Practical Magic, and now I have my Silver Ravenwolf book, Teen Witch Daily Devotions I highlighted. There's a Call Me spell.
That was already out, but I feel like with TGI Fridays, right? Was it still going?
Yes, exactly. Sabrina was on the air on Friday nights. That had started, I forget exactly when. That might have actually been, I think that was around the Craft time. I think that must have
I
been
think so
season 2
too.
or 3 by now. So Sabrina was very
Well, the movie
popular,
came out, yeah,
you
prior,
know?
and then it was a show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But anyway, so we're just talking fun witchy stuff because of course I had to bring Sabrina on because not only is she a good friend, a movie lover, but also she would you say, tell us, Sabrina, would you
You
say,
didn't
would you
even
call
ask me a
yourself
question.
a witch?
I know what? I don't. It's funny because I don't think of myself as one. I think of myself as just like I am just a little special on that end with like certain things.
Yeah.
Because I'm not, I wouldn't say like I don't practice it like a lot of, maybe a lot of people do or take it, to an extent. I think,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, my definition of like witch, just like, Aunt Jet says in the movie, there's a little
I
witch in
love
all
Aunt
of
Jet.
us. There really is because it's like
Yeah.
we all have a power inside of us, and it doesn't have to be like I'm not talking about like Marvel universe, like
Yeah, like
flames coming out of my fingers. I wish, like
some
we all
days,
have
yeah.
that. But like I think if you really truly believe in something, I think I don't know.
Mhm.
I just think that we all have something and we all have a
Yeah.
gift. Like some people just don't believe in themselves enough to think, to believe
Yep.
for that to
Yep.
come true. And I'm not saying that trust me. I don't know. I think ever since I was younger, I've always been kind of like into the whole wizard, witchy, fairy, what I mean? Like that
Oh
whole
yeah.
like realm. And I think I've always wanted to have those, just like fun powers and be able to like not cast spells on people. Like that's not the type of witch, I would think I would ever be. I think it's more of like a protection. Like I do more protection like on me and like from like outside forces,
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
like that. Cause I feel like even like it's
Absolutely.
funny that we're talking about family curses.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go into it, but I really, I always felt that like there was something with my family and
Really?
oh yeah. Yeah. And like even like growing up, like and a lot of people don't even know this, so here I am like spilling my guts. But like
Wow.
even like my mother has said things in the past. So I think in my mind, I always felt like I had to protect like my family, you know?
Wow.
So I think that just kind of stemmed from it. And then like, I don't know. But it's funny because people have come up to me and they're like, oh, I've always thought of you like, you were always kind of like the down to earth kind of witchy person, but you weren't like in your face being witchy. Because, it's like practical magic. And I think that's why I love this movie so much. And I
Yeah.
think because this came out in 1998, I was in middle school, like I was kind
Mhm.
of like when you're really kind of like figuring things out, kind of, but you're going into
Oh, of
high
course.
school.
Yeah.
And I think like Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman really reminded me of myself in a sense because it's like I don't wear like I'm not wearing the whole like get up, like
Right.
I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
always dressed in like a certain way, that you see with
Right.
certain people. I don't have to put on this like act that like, oh, I'm a witch and I can only do this, this, and that. I don't think that's not my definition,
Right.
Does
Yep. Yeah.
that make
This
sense?
is so. This is much more natural and grounded in the look of a
Yeah.
witch than like The Craft,
Yeah.
and even like Sabrina, which was then super colorful and like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
right. So this is a nice medium where we get dark, but like these women are just normal women, right?
Oh
I
yeah.
think for her friend, I love the blonde coworker in
Oh my gosh.
Sally's shop
Yeah, yeah,
who
yeah.
says witch, yes, evil, no. But like I feel
Yes.
like
So yeah.
these are just
And I
normal
think I even wrote that in my
women.
notes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
I love when
right?
she said
I
that
love
because I
that.
was
She's
like,
so great.
yeah.
Because of these stories and these films of our youth, I went headfirst into it. This is just one book I have. I'm sure I didn't keep a lot, but I mean, I had kits. I would go to the Barnes and Noble New Age section all the time.
Yep, I think
And
we discussed this in the craft.
right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
we
yeah.
did too.
Mhm,
And,
mhm.
I would do these spells late at night in my backyard looking up at the full moon, So
Yeah.
I've always been like you, I've been gravitated towards these kinds of stories. Like you said, the magic, the witches, the wizards. And
I think
we
that
don't
like
really necessarily mean like medieval fantasy. We mean like, the spells.
yeah.
And that could be modern day or, whenever. And the Salem witches, I've always loved that kind of history,
Oh,
right?
me too.
Even though, of
Mhm.
course, it's so awful and brutal, but
I remember like in
We
middle school,
love
I read a
Salem.
book. It was like called this, what is it? I'm trying to think of what it was. It wasn't called just the Salem Witch Trials. But I remember the author. It was a young children's author. I think it was like Anne Rinaldi or something. And she came to our bookstore. It was like a little town in Clinton.
Oh,
And
wow.
she wrote about this book. It was about the Salem Witch Trials. And that's when I became like obsessed and loved it. And like my mom was always like, oh, we'll go to Salem one day. That, unfortunately never happened, but I went, for that reason. I started going to Salem for that reason, to kind of like, I wanted to finally do it. So ever since I was little, it was always kind of like stuck with me.
And speaking of a small town, we'll talk more about this beautiful town that they're in Massachusetts, although in Practical Magic, really, it's all shot on the West Coast, right? The Northwest.
I know.
But it still feels very quaint and New Englandy, I think. Would you agree, or do you get more of that, like, kind of West Coast vibe?
I always thought it was shot in New England when I was younger.
Yeah.
When I didn't know things back in the day about like where things really were shot.
Right.
I always thought things were like on location. But I mean, it was Washington, I think, right? Washington State?
Washington, and then they built the house like on an island, off the coast of Washington, right? San Juan Island, I believe it's called.
Just the shell of it.
Yes, just the shell. It's not a real house, and it was a sacred ground, right, from Native American land. Is that correct? Yeah, so interesting. It's beautiful.
I mean, the best house, hands
down.
Oh
my gosh,
like
this is. Don't you? Right? Don't you agree? Like, this is one of the most iconic.
I have a matchbook from the candles, but let's see if you can see that.
Oh, yeah. Can you? Oh, my God. Yes. Oh, my gosh. I love that. The Owens house. If you're listening, Sabrina's showing the Owens house. It's a candle, a matchbook. And wait, where'd you get that? I need to know everything.
Okay. So Bijou, it's so I'm actually burning their Sally candle as well.
Wow.
So, and also the Julian candle. So they go together. They make a lot of candles that you can burn together in sets. You also have a charmed candle set that I have.
How fun. Oh my God, love it.
They make like sets off of like different icons.
Yes.
Like we have like a Stevie Nicks candle that I have.
Oh, of course. I bet you do. Oh my gosh. You can't talk about this movie and about witchery without Stevie. Yeah.
And then when you open it.
Oh my gosh, house rules. I can't see. Chocolate cake for breakfast, right?
Yeah. Chocolate cake for breakfast, midnight margaritas, and no bedtime. And then the black
Love
cat.
it. This podcast just became like a candle comparison video. So anyone listening or watching, we're just going to talk about candles, right?
I also need Greg's candles, though. I do.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, you probably, if you don't follow him, he's Nubble Light Candle on Instagram. So we got all kinds of candles.
All the candles.
Oh yeah,
candles
right.
Are everything when it comes to.
Since we're talking about candles, I'll just say it right here. Listeners, if anyone's watching or listening that wants a Nubble Light candle, use the code REWIND, R-E-W-I-N-D, to get 20% off your order. It should still work. So go to nubblelightcandle.com. You can put that code in and, browse away. There you go. A little discount. But also, Sabrina, one other little fun thing to mention before we get into Practical Magic is happy 10th anniversary. We have known each other for 10 years because we did Carrie the Musical at Interact back in October 2013.
And I was a stage manager.
Yes, you were behind the scenes. I know. I was on stage with a bunch of these fools running around, screaming our heads off in such a fun show, Carrie the Musical.
It was fun. It was a great show.
Yeah, it was. It was so great. And I don't know if you saw, I posted some old photos on my Instagram the other day and tagged Interact. But that's where we met. Yeah, we've known each other 10 years. Virtual high five to that.
Yay!
Cheers. I should be drinking. I just realized I should have a margarita.
Margaritas. I know, but I was like, it's Thursday. I have to my water after work tomorrow.
I mean, it's a thirsty Thursday, but okay, we can pretend. We have water, but it's not really water. We'll do a spell, right? Cheers to that.
Cheers.
But so, okay, enough of today, enough of 2023, everybody. We are rewinding 25 years ago to October 16th, 1998 is when Practical Magic came out wide in U.S. theaters. And I know Sabrina and I, we were kids. We were in middle school, like she was saying. I was excited. I'm sure you were excited. Tell me, before we get into the nitty gritty, you saw this in theaters?
You know what? I can't even remember. I saw so many movies. I used to go to movies all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I want to say
Yeah, I bet you probably did. What
I'd
grade
probably
were
say
you? I think
yeah.
I was in sixth grade, I believe.
Like I remember
So,
watching it all the time once it came out, like on VHS,
oh
or
yeah.
and stuff like that. But like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I definitely saw this in theaters with my friend Shayna Bellin, my friend and neighbor at the time, and her mom. And we went to a smaller theater that I actually really miss. It was a great little theater. It was only 4 screens and they were small. I think they like turned it into a liquor store or something kind of sad. It was that small, like a really big liquor store. But but I just remember the theater. I don't know if we went opening night, but we definitely went opening weekend, and the house we were in, the theater was packed. And that was
oh,
so
sure.
exciting, so fun. This movie did open at number one, so
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
with these big stars and everything, right? But I remember I was so excited. I feel like we were playing Alanis Morissette in the car on the way to the theater, which totally tracks, which fits in
Oh
with this
yeah.
whole vibe.
Oh
So we were
yeah.
really enjoying our witchy selves. And my friend Shayna, she was also very much into witchcraft and Wicca, and we would do spells
Oh
together all
yeah.
the time.
It was like
Yeah.
the era of like the '90s, like witch. Like it was very
Oh,
like
yeah.
you had sun and moon thing,
Oh, yeah.
decoration. You know what I mean? It was literally that vibe.
But
Yeah.
Practical Magic was kind of like the pinnacle because this opened at number one.
Oh
I believe it
yeah.
still did not make all of its budget back, so it wasn't like
Yeah,
a
I think
major
I read
success,
that. Yeah.
right? But it's
Yeah.
still, this was
Became a cult
probably
classic.
the
Yeah.
biggest pop culture besides Sabrina the Teenage Witch. This was
Oh
like the
yeah.
biggest success for witchy films of this time period, you
Yeah.
know? We'll be right back.
Some believe Maria Owens was a witch. Others claim that Maria was just unlucky in love. Both were true.
Let's talk about the genre because even though I love this movie and you love it and our listeners are probably loving it as well, it's a little uneven. It's a little all over
I
the
agree.
place.
Oh yeah.
Right?
There's some
And let me read you
moments.
what Roger Ebert said. When this came out, Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times said that the film, quote, doesn't seem sure what tone to adopt, veering uncertainly from horror to laughs to romance. And you know what? Even as a kid, I agreed with him. I love
I
it.
agree.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't say this movie's perfect, but I think it is so enjoyable as is. It's such a nice ride. Don't get me wrong, love it. But
Yes.
what do you think of that, Sabrina? Would you agree that like it's a little
I
all over
agree.
the place?
I
Yeah.
agree. There are moments because even like every time I watch it, I love certain points, and then moments I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know,
Uh-huh.
like
Yep.
what were they trying to do here? Because like it's like it's like certain things are taken from like I said, maybe like the TV shows that were coming out at the time, or like
Right. What was popular?
Craft,
Yep.
and like then you're adding in kind of like a romantic comedy vibe, but
Mhm.
then it's like, are we taking it seriously? You know what I mean? Because like
And
they
then
seem
it's
like they're
goofy.
supposed to be heavy, but they're just
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. It's
Does that make
it's
sense?
heavy.
Yeah.
They're like they like just killed a guy, but then they're
Right.
like knocking his head into the door. And I had never
Right.
caught it in all my times rewatching this movie.
Oh,
I just
when he
rewatched.
kind of blinks
Yes.
when they knock
Yeah.
his head into the door. Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
But you know what? In that same moment when they're dragging him in, I know we're jumping around. I had never caught this line that Nicole Kidman says, "Watch his balls." I had missed that in every rewatch. So then we're like getting into like slapstick
Right.
comedy.
And then she's like eating the whipped cream, Sandra
Yeah.
Bullock off his body. And then it's kind of also with the music. It's like that weird
Yes.
kind of like quirky music at one point. And I'm like, I feel like it just doesn't fit.
I agree.
Like for me, it just doesn't fit. But like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. You know what
I
I mean?
love the music. Like I love Alan Silvestri did the score. I mean that
Oh, I
that
love,
main
like-
theme.
Yeah.
It's so. I mean, even
Yeah.
so, Greg had never seen this. We actually just rewatched this only a couple years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And it's funny because when I played it again on Hulu, it said "Watch again." I'm like, wow, you know me so well. But Greg had never seen it until that time. But even he, when I was playing the theme the other day in the house, he's like, "Oh, Practical Magic." It's a very memorable theme.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Like,
But
and you
I
hear all
agree
the
with you.
talkers And they all have
Oh
that,
yeah.
you know,
Oh yeah. I mean,
videos.
it's great.
Yeah.
Alan Silvestri did Death Becomes Her, which I've talked about on this podcast. He's done a million movies. His music is so good.
movie.
But I agree with you, Sabrina, that like even the music is a little uneven. We're getting spooky and dark and it's tense. But then
Right.
it's like a little bump, like it's a little
Right.
goofy. And then all of a sudden, then we're flirting with Aidan Quinn, and then we're being goofy sisters, and we're
then,
bumping into
then the
it's a
ghost of Jimmy comes out of Nicole Kidman.
oh my god, yeah. Then we're like in The Exorcist, and it's like, wait, what? Right? So
I know there's many elements. There's
a lot of elements.
Maybe that's a good word. There's a lot of different elements.
Yes, there's more elements than your typical earth, air, fire, water. Okay, like we're doing double duty here. But the music is still good, and I have to say, I didn't know this. Maybe you saw it when you were doing some Googling. The original composer was someone named Michael Nyman. Yeah. So his score, you probably saw this, was abruptly replaced with Alan Silvestri for the theatrical release. It was a last-minute change, and it resulted in the release of 2 soundtracks. I don't think I ever realized there were 2 soundtracks. So
I don't think I had the first one. Yeah. So
that is a surprise because again, Alan Silvestri is such a big deal, especially at this time. He had already had massive hit movies, playing his music. So it's so interesting that he was brought on as a last-minute replacement. I couldn't figure out why. Did you get any backstory on that? Did you see anything?
I don't think so. I think they just wanted a different.
I guess they wanted a different tone.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's what they wanted. I think once they watched the movie, it just wasn't working.
And maybe. I couldn't find anything in my limited search, but I wonder if the studio, when they changed their minds on the music, I wonder if they were also kind of maybe towards the end, towards the last minute, window, they're also kind of changing some shots, having the director, the editor change some things. And maybe that's why it's a little inconsistent here and there. Maybe?
Yeah, because there's a lot of laughable moments, especially when they're playing Faith Hill, exactly,
Oh my God, that song, This Kiss, this
and then
kiss.
Bella is singing, and it's she just stops everything. I know it's a spell, but it's
I know. I was laughing. Exactly. Her boots, the bell rings, and she just goes, and the pets, the dogs, right? Yeah. They're following her, and it's so kind of corny, but I love it.
It works. I still love it. Yeah.
It's a little on the nose, right? This kiss as they're kissing. I'm like, okay, we got it. Griffin Dunne.
To and then Nicole Kidman, having this toxic relationship, and then we're in a dark mood. It's like going back. It's like a ping pong table. You're going back and forth with different vibes.
Yes, the extremes, of course. Because whenever we're doing anything with Jimmy, it is dark and it's scary and it's spooky. Yes, that's true. Yes.
So maybe that's also what they were going for in the movie.
Yeah, maybe that was the theme, to embrace their extreme differences. Yeah. But every now and then I would have maybe reined it in a bit or something, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Which I didn't know the answer, a main point in the book. It's funny. I actually never read the book, but I have it.
Me neither.
So I started reading it.
Oh yeah.
A couple weeks ago. I thought I would finish it by now. Didn't.
Yeah. So, I hear you.
But yeah, they're not really a big focal point.
Really? That is surprising.
I'm only and I read that somewhere too. That, they based it off the book, and there's a lot of things, but there's just a lot of different.
Interesting.
In the Owens family, life was always magic.
Most excellent.
And love.
Any man who wins the heart of an Owens woman is bound to end up 6 feet under.
Was always tragic.
Michael, look out! It was an accident.
It was fate.
It was the curse, wasn't it? He died because I loved him so much.
They brought on a real witch. They hired a witch to come on as a consultant, I guess, for the exorcism, scenes. Yeah. And then obviously probably bringing Jim back, probably with the chance. Who knows? I guess they didn't want to do anything to disturb any spirits.
They didn't want to offend or do the wrong thing. That makes sense. Mm-hmm.
She demanded extra money and a percentage of the film's profits.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And then and then I guess when they said that the pay bump would not be possible, she told the producer, "I'm going to put a curse on you. I'm putting a curse on this movie, and I'm putting a curse on Griffin." I guess it's the director. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Griffin Dunne. Oh yikes! And Griffin Dunne already
voicemail from her threatening additional curses and speaking in tongues. And he said, he said that they were so freaked out, Warner Brothers and the legal team, that they just paid her off. And then then the director said he held a real exorcism to get rid of the curse. Yeah.
Oh my God,
That's
this
what I'm
is
reading. I
this
don't
is
know.
some
Have you
amazing
been
tea.
Insider?
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is scary. That's stressful for
Yeah.
sure. And you
Now
know,
I'm
I was
like,
going to
is she
say,
doing this on us? That's kidding.
I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
please don't
I know. I was like, I'm ready
just
for that. We love
just
the
like
movie.
half an hour more and then you can do whatever
Right?
you want with the internet.
Yeah.
But you know, and that's also scary, especially for Griffin Dunne, because his sister, I don't know if she was older or younger. She might have been younger. His
Yeah.
sister was an actress who died, Dominique
Yeah.
Dunne. She was in Poltergeist, and
Yeah.
so to
Yeah.
have a curse, you know, he's
I'm
already
sure
dealing
that's
with
why he
some.
probably freaked out and was like,
Oh yeah. Oh
getting
my
rid of this.
gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
All
scary.
because she wanted more money. Oh my gosh.
And
Yikes.
honestly, I'm sure that witch consultant was a phony. I'm sure she was speaking in gibberish. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't. I think back in the day when you could get away with that because obviously there wasn't like social media, you know, and
Right.
stuff
And
like
we
that.
didn't have Google. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I
Jeez,
think
that's
I'm
scary. Oh
sure
my
it
gosh.
was.
Well, we'll just say
Yeah.
a little spell
But,
to make sure
yeah.
she doesn't do anything with this episode. We're all
Cast her
okay.
away. Cast her away.
Um,
We're good.
Wow. Okay. Well, let me set the scene for us, Sabrina. Okay.
Yeah.
So we are in October 1998. No, not in September anymore. October 1998. And this is what was going on, everybody. Okay. So on the news side, the House of Representatives voted to begin the impeachment hearings against President Bill Clinton because he was lying about his affair with Monica Lewinsky. So he had just in the weeks prior finally came out and publicly stated he lied and he did have sexual relations. So that was all going on at this time. He was about to be impeached. I was too young to even really care or understand, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
kind of funny that like I'm focused on practical magic and I had no idea what was going on, right?
Yep.
We had mentioned a few times now, Charmed. The WB had just premiered Charmed about a week and a half earlier. And I loved that show. And it sounds like you did too.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I mean,
I
he
was-
was Charmed.
Of course. And I just
yeah.
recently rewatched the first episode just on the anniversary just to like have it on the background. And you know what? It holds up. I think it's still a really fun show.
I have to rewatch it. You know, I haven't been. There's so many 90s shows I want to rewatch too, like Felicity and Charmed.
Oh, I know. Felicity had also just premiered. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
The WB was like in full
Dawson's Creek was
swing.
like my jam, and I was laughing.
yeah.
Going back to when you were talking about urban legend and posting with
Yes.
Josh Jackson and his frosted tips. I remember like him coming back into Dawson's Creek, and he had the hair from Urban Legends. I remember I had that WB poster that I got from the Warner Brothers store when it was a Warner Brothers store at the mall.
Yeah.
My mom had to search everywhere for it. Like, yes, she did that. Yeah, she got me.
Oh my God, I love that. So so Charmed had just come out, and another TV fun fact, which you will love. I smiled from ear to ear when I saw this. Fox Family, now it's Freeform. Of course, it was Fox Family, ABC Family, Freeform. Fox Family was about to debut their first annual 13 Nights of Halloween. That started, I want to say, actually, it might have started on this very day we're recording. I think it was October 19th, 1998. They started doing their Halloween programming. Isn't that fun? And now now maybe it's not as popular, but I mean, for years there, like 10 years ago, I know it expanded to 31 Nights of Halloween. I mean, that was huge, right?
It was huge because like we didn't have the streaming networks that we had,
Exactly.
Then
we had to rely on that. Yeah.
Record it,
That's celebrating 25 years of airing, right? And then on the movie side, we just mentioned Urban Legend. I just talked about that in my last episode. That had just come out a couple weeks prior. This movie came out the exact same day as Bride of Chucky.
Oh my God.
And the Oprah Winfrey film Beloved. So 3 very different movies. You got horror slasher, you got prestige history piece, and you have another prestige romance, supernatural comedy drama with practical magic, right? Yeah. So we have 3 very different films, but very memorable films. And other popular movies at this time in the top 5 were Ants, the animated film, I think with like I think J-Lo, I think Jennifer Lopez was in that, if I remember correctly. And Rush Hour with Jackie Chan
Rush
and Chris
Hour.
Tucker.
Yes. Yeah.
And the Robin Williams film, What Dreams May Come. Remember that one? It was a drama, very pretty.
I do.
That was
It
also
was
popular.
heartbreaking, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sad drama for sure.
Yeah.
So those were all in the top of the box office. And here comes Practical Magic, which opened at number 1. So Sabrina, before I tell everyone a little bit about where our stars were in their careers, and then we'll tell everyone our favorite scenes, I want to hear from you. I'm the executive, okay? I am the studio exec. You're coming in to pitch me Practical Magic. Tell me in your own words, what is it? What's it about in a nutshell?
I was thinking about this because I knew you were going to ask me, and I was like, it's so hard to kind of put in so many sentences what this film is about. But let's just roll with it, okay? Let's do an improv moment. So
yes,
I would say it's about the Owens women in the family, not just not the men, the Owens women in the family that have this generational curse from their ancestor Maria. Because she was betrayed by her lover. And so she put this curse on the Owens women that whenever they would fall in love with someone, unfortunately, that man is going to face an untimely death.
Yeah.
Which does happen. So then you meet Sally and Jillian Owens when they're younger, and they have to live with their Aunt Frances and Aunt Jet because their parents unfortunately passed away. Their mother died of a broken heart after their father died. But Sally always says she doesn't want to fall in love because of what has happened with the family curse.
Yes.
But Jillian feels opposite. So once they're older a little bit, Jillian moves away, gets out. She doesn't want to live there anymore. She wants to explore the world, explore the country, go crazy, go wild, do whatever she wants, free spirit. And you have Sally who stays behind, and she does not want to be a witch. She does not want to be her family. She feels like I don't want anything to do with being a witch, nothing.
What does she say? She wants her normal. She got her normal and she wants to keep it. Yep.
She just wants a normal life. And then she gets married. She has kids. Unfortunately, he meets his untimely death, which is
that
really
beetle.
sad. Oh, I know. So Sally gets a call from Jillian. She meets this man named Jimmy, Angela, and he's not good. They're just very toxic for each other. He's a horrible man. He abuses women, kills women, I think. Right? I think that's what they
we find out later, from the investigator.
Yeah. So he's just horrible. And, Jillian's in trouble, so he goes out to get her. But then Jimmy finds them. He kind of kidnaps them, but not kind of. But they're, Sally's driving the car.
Right.
Then they drug him with their belladonna herb. I mean, I'm going into detail, but he dies. Let's just say he dies. They try and bring him back. They do. He dies again. They do,
and it's not good.
Yeah, and because he's under a spell, so they bury him, and then the movie just becomes kind of just this unfolding of them trying to keep this secret within the house, and they just can't because the spell and
they're trying to cover it up, but he's
haunting them.
Taking over. The toads, the roses, there's no denying that he's there.
Tequila.
Yes. The tequila.
I know. And then Aidan Quinn comes in as the investigator, and he's the man that she's always wished for.
Yeah.
And basically, in the end, oh no, I forgot a whole part. I'm sorry. Jimmy possesses.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah. And that comes out of left field. I'm like, really the movie isn't over yet. Whoa.
And then it gets dark. Right.
We're taking a turn.
Yeah. So then Jillian's okay in the end. Jimmy's spirit is free from, haunting anybody else and possess them. But I really think it's about the sisterhood, the bonding, the having that power, I was talking about before, when we were talking about having that little witch power and everybody, really believing in yourself and family, strength, love.
Two sisters. One would play it safe.
You spend all your energy just trying to fit in, but you're never gonna fit in, Sal. We're different.
While the other would run wild.
Hang on to your husbands, girls.
If you think about it, if you want to dig deep, because
let's dig deep.
It's not dig deep, when it comes to
it's pretty
their
light.
father died, then their mother died. You she dies of a broken heart. You don't know how, but we all kind of assume how.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, because even Nicole Kidman's character, Jillian, says, "Do you forgive our mother?"
Right.
To Sally. And that part was kind of weird because I was like, it just felt very just like a random question. And I know it wasn't like, I don't know.
There's not a lot of, they just sort of like blurt that out and you're like, oh.
They have, these fears of who they really are. So,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think they go in each separate direction though with it, because that's how we all deal with grief.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. So I think also with being with the aunts and seeing like, that woman in the beginning with like wanting that man to really fall in love with her, and they kill the dove.
She's so intense. Oh my gosh. And the needle into the bird. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So right off the bat, the kids see how people can get I don't want to fall in love. And
Jillian's like, oh, I can't wait. So
I know.
You definitely see that dynamic, and I think they're setting that up. So I think that's why they're so different, and they just they really aren't themselves until the end of the movie. When you see that, like after the exorcism, you kind of feel like a whole new vibe, especially with like Jillian's character for a little bit, and then even Sally, you definitely see their true selves, especially with like the Halloween scene I love the most. So
I know.
On top of the roof.
Such a great, such a great iconic ending, and it's just like I wish we were there, right? It's that kind of scene where you're like, oh, I want to be an extra in that scene, right? You great description, and Jimmy is basically kind of trying to break the sisters apart, which is interesting because, again, a line I never really thought much about actually until this latest rewatch, and I've seen this movie probably at least 10 times in my life, how he says, I'm very into sisters, something like that. Yeah. And then Nicole, Jillian even repeats that later on when she's possessed by him. And so what's interesting is, sexually, it would be him and two sisters, they're all together, but he's actually driving a wedge through them because he wants to keep Jillian, right? He wants her to be my wife, blah, blah, blah.
I want you to be my wife.
I know. My wife. It's like, okay, this is starting to turn into Borat. But then even, at the end, as he's possessing her body and like, that great big climax with all the women as this kind of makeshift coven, which I love. We can talk about that in a minute. But, he's pulling them apart. But luckily, the whole goal is for them to... put that like it's kind of gross, but my blood, your blood, our blood, like don't break that bond.
You made that promise that like they were gonna die together, and like having a sister, like or having people close to me like a sister, like I always get like kind of choked up, even though I watched it so many times. It's that one scene at the end with like we don't know if Jillian's gonna make it, we don't know if she has that strength to carry on with it, and you really don't know because kind of see like the fear in the ants' faces too. Like they're not sure. We don't know.
It's intense. Nicole is like writhing on that floor, honey. She is like giving it her all. We do not know what's gonna happen.
And Sandra's just like, or Sally's just like, no, like you're not leaving. Like we made a promise. Like there's got to be a way, and she would do anything for her sister.
But now, an accidental death.
How much did you give him? I wasn't using a measuring cup. He was trying to kill you.
Will become a practical matter.
Please, God, please, if you get us out of this, I'll be good. I'll have babies. I'll go to the PTA.
You bring up a good point that the husband is gone. Sally obviously needs some more support, but Jillian's just like, okay, well, bye, sis. I'll see you some other time. But I guess that's just showing how different they are and how Jillian needed to really learn that, like, you got to stick with your family and they will set you kind of straight. Because as Sally says jokingly, but it's so true, she's like, she has the worst taste in men. And it's like, honey, you don't have a good picker. You gotta pick a little better, right?
Even though those scenes in the beginning when you first meet, Jimmy and, I still, it's such a great, like,
the pool and the party. And the music. He's very charming. Goran Vishnik, I think his name is.
Called, like, I Know It's Real or something that
song. Oh, yeah. It's very moody.
Portishead, the band Portishead.
Yep.
With, sneaker pumps,
Yes,
like,
yes.
It gives me, like, that 90s, like, that very, like, every 90s movie had like a song like that.
Oh yeah. Like sultry, moody, like a little whispery. Yep. Yes. Exactly. I love that shot of her like kind of going down the dark hallway. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Like, Nicole is like extra slinky in this movie and I love it. The hair, the skinny body.
He was supposed to be a Texan, I think, his character. But they
Oh,
made
a Texan,
him,
did you say? Wow.
yeah. But they
Okay.
made him Eastern European because he's Croatian, I think I read.
I think he is. I believe he is.
So
Yeah. Okay.
they changed his name, I think, to like
Interesting.
Angelov.
Ah.
Angelov, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because then she
Yeah.
repeats it so much. I think he's pretty great. I really like
Oh,
that actor. I
me
know then he
too.
went on to be an ER, very dreamy kind of guy. But I mean, his hair, his vibe, his
Really? Yeah.
look,
I loved his,
you
oh
know,
yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
think
I was
he's
like,
a good,
I was all for
seductive
Jimmy Angelov. No.
villain,
But yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Oh yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
He would draw you in for sure. He's bad, but you just can't like look
He's
away.
definitely nuts. Yep.
Now,
Yeah.
meanwhile, Aidan Quinn, on the other hand, I personally find so boring.
I know.
Sorry, Aidan
I
Quinn
know.
is not the leading man that I would have cast, but
Yeah, because I know
you
him
know.
from Benny and June and
oh yeah, he's done
Legends of the
a
Fall.
lot. Yep, Legends of the Fall.
Yeah.
And he's good looking, but I think his hair in this movie is kind of goofy to me. It's like a little too curly in the back or something.
I know.
He's just a little
Yeah, like he just
like
didn't
dad
do it
and
for
not
me.
like
Yeah.
yeah. And I don't know
Yeah,
who I
he
would have
just-
cast
yeah.
in
But did they
'98.
cast
I
him
mean,
with
who would
the
we?
blue-eyed green eye thing? Does he have 2 different eyes?
I was thinking that. Yeah, because he does have 2 different eye colors. Although
Maybe.
sometimes in the movie, some of these close-up shots, I couldn't even. It looked like he just had blue
No.
eyes.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking too, or like a kind of
Yeah.
like a green blue, you know?
Right. Yeah, they looked even, but no, he does
Yeah.
actually have that. So I get it, but I don't know. I mean, who would have been better at that time? I mean, Brad Pitt maybe was too famous, but like someone like him, I don't know. Give us like
Yeah, because what was Brad doing? I think that was when Meet Joe Black came out, right?
yeah, '98 was Meet Joe Black, so he was
Yeah.
like beautiful and he was like A-list, and he
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
would have been distracting with these women. So maybe, and not Tom Cruise. Obviously, Nicole was with Tom at this time.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
guys would have distracted. But I don't know. Maybe like. All I can think of is Jason Patrick, because Sandra Bullock had just done
Yeah.
Speed 2.
Yeah. I was like
Keanu.
Keanu, but like no.
Yeah, Keanu, but even Keanu, I think, might have been distracting at this time as well. You
Yeah,
wanted
he
someone who
did.
wasn't
Yeah.
too distracting, but I don't know. We'll have to think more. But yeah, he's just a little snoozy for me, but you know,
Yeah.
he's good and he fits. I just I'm like a little like, give me Jimmy again.
Or even
know?
like what's his name? Oh my god, I'm thinking
Trying
my
to think
best
of, like,
friend's
who's
wedding.
on Dermot Mulroney?
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
You hit it on the head, Sabrina. Yes, I would have.
Yeah.
Could have seen that, and he's got more charm. He's got more
Yeah.
sex appeal. He was.
Put a
He
contact
still looks
in,
great.
Or even
Oh, yeah.
change something.
Just put in a contact lens. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give him a blue eye, and he's just gonna
I
look a
was
little
wearing
weird, and that's
contacts
fine.
At the time, they
Right.
existed. It worked.
Oh yeah. I love that idea. Yes, Dermot. Because
Yeah.
My Best Friend's Wedding was only a year prior, so and everyone
Yeah.
loved that movie. Everyone saw that. So yes. There you go. I would have co-signed that for sure. So speaking of our actors, let me pause that discussion and let me just now tell everybody very briefly where our stars were. We were talking about Speed 2, so I'll go back to that in a second. Where our stars, where our creatives were in their careers. Okay, so screenplay by Robin. I believe her last name is Swikord. Not sure, but you might recognize that name from 2 of my faves, Little Women, the 1994 version. She wrote that one, right?
Coming out.
Iconic.
Yeah.
I know.
That's an
Next
iconic
year.
movie.
Crazy.
That movie makes me
Crazy.
cry.
I love that one. Oh my God. Are you kidding?
It's my favorite
Love
Little
it.
Women version.
Yeah. And she wrote Matilda.
Oh.
Yeah. So she kind of knew her New England women and she knew her little
Yes.
witchy girls. So perfect blend. It was
Yes.
also written by Akiva Goldsman, who had written A Time to Kill, which starred Sandra Bullock.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And he had done some crazy things. Drama like A Time to Kill, sci-fi like Lost in Space, the movie that came out earlier this year, and Batman and Robin and Batman Forever, which starred Nicole Kidman. So he had big action, campy stuff, drama, serious stuff. So he did that stuff.
All right.
And then it was also written by Adam Brooks, who wrote Beloved. So how funny to have
Oh,
2
that
big
is
movies
funny.
come out on the same day.
Yeah. Wow.
And it was produced by Denise Denovi, who had the Little Women connection. She produced Little Women with Robin Swicord, and she produced a lot of Tim Burton stuff. So you might recognize Denise Denovi from Batman Returns, Nightmare Before Christmas, which I'm going to talk about in my next episode.
No,
So
iconic.
she worked with him on some big iconic
Yeah.
things. Directed by Griffin Dunne, who we were talking about earlier. This was his second feature film. He had been acting for a long time. He was in An American Werewolf in London, which I've talked about on the show.
I think I
He
read
was
that.
in
Yeah.
Who's That Girl with Madonna. So, lots of big
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So he was an actor for years. He had just kind of gotten into directing. He was actually Oscar nominated by this time for a 1995 short film he made. So that's pretty cool. So he did that short, and then he directed Addicted to Love. Do you remember that? It's a movie with Meg Ryan and Matthew Broderick in 1997.
I remember the poster for some reason.
Yes, me too. I don't think
Yeah.
I've watched the whole thing, but yeah, I definitely remember that poster. It was a rom-com or something. So he did that, and then I guess that was good enough for him to land Practical Magic. So that was his career path. And so now let's talk about our women. We got to talk about our two leads and our two aunts. So Sandra Bullock, she had just done Hope Floats earlier in 1998, May of 1998, A Time to Kill, like we mentioned, and Speed 2, which guilty pleasure. I thought it was fun. I know she hated it, but I mean, a cruise ship gone wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, sign me up, right? Right? Let's move over to Nicole Kidman, who had just done The Peacemaker with George Clooney, The Portrait of a Lady, and To Die For, which I've talked about on this show with Matt Dillon, Joaquin Phoenix. Great role for her. So she wasn't yet the mega superstar that she was, I feel like Moulin Rouge and the others really turned her into that mega star. So
Yeah.
she was almost there, right? So she was kind of more famous for being...
Shut?
Yes, Eyes Wide Shut came out a year after this, but apparently she had filmed it before this. So yeah, she was about to come out with that, which was a big deal with her and Tom, of course, we know. And then let's talk about our aunts. I love these ladies. I've talked about them on this show before. Diane Wiest, who plays Aunt Jet. She had just done The Horse Whisperer in 1998. I know that was a big deal with Robert Redford. And of course, she was in one of my all-time faves, The Birdcage, which I've chatted about. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
And Edward Scissorhands before that, and of course her Woody Allen films. I mean, Diane Wiest, what a career. And last but not least, we'll cap it off with the one and only, the great Stockard Channing, of course.
Literally, Anne Francis, I feel like is When I was younger, I was like, oh, I want to be one of the Owen sisters. I'm like, no, now I'm like Anne Francis.
Right, and you give me such Aunt Franny vibes. Yes, exactly.
Amazing.
Aunt Francis is totally you. She had just done a drama called Twilight, I believe with Paul Newman, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but she did Twilight, and of course she had a small but very meaningful role in the opening of First Wives Club. Exactly.
Yeah,
yep, which I've talked about.
Yeah. No, I love her. I think she was made to play Aunt Francis.
Right?
Her delivery, her lines, her look, like those outfit. Oh my gosh. When Sally Owens says, all I want is normal life, Aunt Francis says, my darling girl, when are you going to realize that being normal is not necessarily a virtue? It rather denotes a lack of courage.
Love that. That right there, my friends, is a yearbook quote. That's like something, right? A cool kid one day will put that in.
And even just like her little one-liners,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They both have great one-liners. I wrote down early on in the film, Diane Wiest, Aunt Jet says, you see this couple right here? He's having an affair with the babysitter, and she can eat a pound cake in under a minute.
I love that scene.
They have great, funny lines, and then, of course, some really serious, dramatic stuff as well. Oh, yeah. And I had forgotten that they leave, that they are gone for a good chunk of the movie to kind of teach the girls a lesson. Like, all right.
It smells like bullshit.
They smell like bullshit. Exactly.
The broom falls, and they're like, "Oh, company's
coming." Yes, I love my favorite moments overall. I mean, we'll now talk about our favorite scenes and all that, but I think my favorite of all is the little details like that means something to them. Yeah. A broom falls, or
that's what they had the consultant on.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. That and that makes sense. You want to get it right, but like blood on the moon and how that sends them into a panic. Little witchy details like
and
that. I think are so cool. Yeah, the tiger's eye.
That's supposed to be protection. So that's why she was so like, "Where's my tiger's eye?" Which is ironic. Because it led her to his car where he was. I'm like,
you would think it would be a little different. She would get into Sally's car. Actually, yeah, you know what? That would have been better. She runs to her car, gets the tiger's eye. She's like, okay, got it. Now Sally's like dealing with bags on the ground, and Jillian gets in to Sally's car, and in that car is Jimmy. Maybe that would have been a bigger surprise, you know?
Right.
But again, it goes into horror territory because then we have that shot where he pulls her in the back, and it's like, you know. What genre is this, you know? But yeah, I just love those little details that just really, you know, we embrace the full witchy world of all their little things, you know, and even at the end of the movie, you know, Sandra Bullock's voiceover.
Always throw spilt salt over your left shoulder. Keep rosemary by your garden gate. Plant roses and lavender for luck, and fall in love whenever you can.
That's it. Yep, that's it.
Jimmy, there's a cop downstairs and he's looking for Jimmy and he wants to talk to you. Is he cute? Yeah, in a very penal code sort of way, yeah.
I know we talked about the Faith Hill song, This Kiss, and how it's like so corny, but so memorable. What other memorable moments are there for you? Like when you think of Practical Magic, what are the key scenes and lines?
First, Midnight Margaritas. Like,
oh my God, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Midnight Margaritas.
Even like the shot with the camera, like spiraling, you know, down the stair, you know. Yep. And then, you know, Jillian wakes her. The ants start doing a little Macbeth with the toy, you know, the cauldron, the blender, which I love. Jumping really quick. I know I can do this. I jump from everything, but like that kitchen, I feel like is like the cauldron of the movie. If you think about it, everything
that's
really
a great point.
A lot of things happen there, and a lot of things are getting mixed, and it's like, you know, it's funny at the end. They're mixing the pot with the cauldron to, you know, send all bad shit away, you know, excuse my friend. Like, and I feel like, I don't know. I just think that kitchen. I just want that kitchen. It's so amazing.
I know. I'm so glad you bring that up. That kitchen really does serve as the cauldron. That's where good stuff happens, bad stuff happens. That's where they're, you know, they're literally mixing things up and also figuratively mixing things up and getting things all complicated. The blender and the song. I mean, put the lime and the coconut. That like has become a true movie moment. I mean, most people who even remotely know this movie know, oh yeah, there's like put the lime in the coconut, right?
Do you know the fun fact behind that scene?
Tell me. I don't think I do.
That the cast were really drinking tequila.
Yes.
Which I heard that. I think it's great. I think, you know, sure. And like, I think he was something through, except for like the cameraman, I think. Just because, you know.
You got to stay in focus. Right?
Yeah, but like, I think that's fun. Yeah.
I think that's so fun. And I heard, Nicole Kidman had brought some really bad, cheap tequila that they were really drinking during the scene after, which I also love. And it's so unhinged and crazy where the four of them, that's when Jimmy's starting to
and they're like,
infiltrate.
Someone left it on the porch, and next they're singing it. And I'm like, who, number one, would just grab a bottle of alcohol that's on your porch without a note? But like I said,
they are kooky. They're oddballs, right? But I know the way they sing that, you know, they all go from hurling insults at each other and they're laughing. I mean, it's so fun to watch.
Elvis Presley, always on my mind.
You're always on my mind. And then the way the sisters look at each other, right? We know, that's weird. And then the bottle, and
that's when the room falls, and then that's when you go into the whole like smells like bullshit, and you know.
And that's what prompts them to leave. Yeah, really great sequence. I love that whole bit.
Oh, yeah.
So the highs and the lows. Yeah.
I also love, the school scene is great, too. The phone tree scene.
Yes, the phone tree scene. Hang on to your husbands, girls.
I feel like that was like a lot in the promos or something. I feel like that was, I feel like we were seeing that a lot. I think it's great when like Jillian and Sally had that moment of like, their inner child is coming out with like doing the little tricks, you know, they were like, oh no, that was me. You know,
that was me. So fun.
Yeah. I love it. And then, cause it's like, you're really getting that's like the sisterly bond, you know?
Oh
like,
yeah, of course.
I love it. I also love Sally's like apothecary. Like it kind of gives me like, this is way before like David Rose, you know, apothecary with Schitt's Creek, but like, I just love the whole, and I think they painted the town white. I think I read.
Oh, okay. Did they?
Yeah. The town of Washington that they were using, they painted all the buildings white.
Interesting.
So go with like I don't know, like
to make it more New Englandy, maybe to make it,
yeah,
like more old fashioned. Wow,
yeah.
that is crazy. The budget. Oh my God. I saw that the budget for this movie was higher than I thought at 75 million.
Oh
Whoa.
wow, yeah.
Yeah.
So I loved her
Yeah.
apothecary, like the scenes in there, because I remember like I worked
And
at this
Margot
place,
Martindale, right? Little
yeah, I worked at
supporting role by her.
yeah. And I worked at this place in the city called Saban years ago for like a little bit. And I remember it was very like, it kind of gave me like that apothecary kind of vibe.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
So maybe I was like, is that why I wanted to work there? Because of practical magic? I don't know. But I think the scenes also where like, you know, you had these little moments like with Sally blowing on the candles and lighting them up in front of her girls, because that's when she starts doing
I
her
love
magic
that.
again. You know,
Yep.
her girls
And she gives them a little
seeing
smile.
who she is.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know, I think that's great. I love, even though it's dark, but I love the exorcism scene in a sense, because
Oh yeah.
that's where you really feel the emotion, I think. The pancake scene is the syrup in the pancake scene.
Yes, with Aidan
I
Quinn.
love that. And I think I also love it because that one scene where Jillian's with her nieces, you know, Sally's girls, and she's kind of just talking to them, and she's like, and I think there's that one
she has that good line.
Evan Rachel Wood, Evan Rachel Wood plays, you know, she kind of mirrors Jillian in a sense, you know, with the red hair. And she says something about like how she wants to fall in love, and she, you know, they have that moment.
Yes,
and I think
she
Jillian
says,
sees herself in her, and it's like that kind of like, because I relate to like what Jillian says about like, you know, turning, you know, twirling around and around, and you're not seeing it, you know, if you're affecting the people around you. I think we can all relate to that in some part of our lives, you know, with certain relationships.
Do you ever put your arms out and spin and spin and spin really, really fast? Well, that's what it's like to fall in love.
Sally's letters that she writes, I think you all can relate to.
With her coffee, you know, with the spoon,
when she's
just
talking about like the moon. The only man is the moon. You know, sometimes I feel like there's a hole inside of me. Yep, an emptiness that at times seems to burn. I think if you lifted my heart to your ear, you could probably hear the ocean. And then that's when she talks about the moon, about the circle, you know, being the blood moon. And then she says, I have this dream of being whole, you know, of not going to sleep each night wanting, but still sometimes when the wind is warm or the crickets sing, I dream of a love that even time will lie down and be still for. I just want someone to love me. I want to be seen. Because like I think she feels in her heart, her first marriage it wasn't a sham, but it was pushed a little bit.
It was pushed,
I think they really did love each other, because obviously he did end up dying. So
and you know,
each other, they would. I don't think he would have. That's what I think the aunt thought too. Remember, they were
that's
like,
what
you know that you actually loved him.
Yeah, like, you know, something that I never really thought too much about until today is, you know, the aunts basically guide her to fall in love with him. They put a little spell on her to, they say she needed a push. You know, they jokingly say when they're drunk, we had to do that or else you would never open your legs, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but you know, then they're like, we never thought you would actually fall in love. It's like, so wait, but she got married. So you guys just hope she had like a shitty marriage?
Right.
Like,
I know. Sometimes like certain things in the movie, like that's why I was like, I'm thinking too much into this, I know, but like, I don't know.
But you know, I guess that's just showing that like no one is perfect. Like even these aunts who we love, they didn't really make a good decision. And we the only person we really kind of fully, I feel like, relate to, and it makes sense, is our star, which was Sandra. It's Sally. I feel like Sally, you know, there's really nothing wrong with Sally other than just what she has to accomplish, which is to just love herself and embrace who and what she is, right? Which we all do.
Yeah.
Right. But she doesn't really do anything wrong. She's actually the most level-headed. When she's yelling at her aunts, and, you know, and I mean, when she says, and as for you two, I don't want my children doing any of this, you know, ever. Yeah. And I get it. I totally get it. You know, we understand where she's coming from. She's never out of line, really. Nice. So, yeah. She definitely is a protagonist
I think she's
that way.
A little bit stubborn with certain things, but.
Speaking of stubborn, one of my most favorite, I'll tell you some of my favorites from this movie. One of my absolute all-time, one of my most favorite moments is, and it's so simple, and you're probably gonna be like, oh, is so as Sally is just putting her foot in her mouth, trying to come up with what happened and like lie and like talk about what happened to Jimmy, to the investigator, to Aidan Quinn, and Jillian's just like, what the hell? When he steps away, I love when this is like, I remember as a kid, I was just laughing and I still laugh. Jillian mouths, she says like, what is wrong with you? And then I love how Sandra just goes, I don't know. I love it. It's so funny. It feels so real. It's so over the top, but it feels so real, you know?
Yeah.
It feels like sisters really like,
oh yeah.
You know? I think that is so funny. I also have to say, I forgot that this movie taught me the very simple line and rhyme. Witch, you're a witch, you're. I feel like I say that every now and then.
Yeah.
Yes, you know, so I love that. I love, again, going back to that fun blonde woman. I forget her character's name, but who works in the apothecary. They're love. Great. They are so great. And I love as they're calling, you know, this kind of makeshift coven, like we said, to help Jillian. Yeah. I love when she's on the phone with Margot Martindale and she says, Sally just came out.
Yes.
You know the stuff that everyone's always whispering about me, the hexes, spells, jumping off the roof at Halloween? They're not entirely wrong. I'm a witch.
Sally just came out.
And it's so funny, but it really is a really meaningful line. It's cute, but she just came out and accepted herself, and she needs some other women to really make a force, and it's really so beautiful. I know I'm getting a little cheesy here, but like there's something about that line that like, and the way it's delivered, it's one of those great double-edged lines where it's meant for a laugh, but it really is like the heart of the movie is Sally just came out, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I'm laughing that none of our favorite moments are really with Aidan. No, I didn't say that, but yeah.
I know this is just really strange, but I can't lie to him.
Oh my God, of course you can lie to him.
It was self-defense, wasn't it?
Self-defense.
I know.
No, not really. I mean, I do have to say one of my favorite lines in the movie is later on, you know, he now knows that they did murder Jimmy, and Sally does admit to him that, you know, she dreamt of him. She created him, basically. When she was a kid, made that spell. And then he says, I wished for you too. Oh, yeah. And she tears up because it's like, wow, okay. Yeah, I mean, you're good.
Oh, you know what's a great line too? Speaking of him now, I'm thinking, well, it's really her line. When he's like, did you or your sister, you know, kill Jimmy Angelope? And she's like, oh, yeah. Several times or something like, a couple times. Like that.
Yes, exactly. I wrote that down too. It's so funny
because like she's like looking at it, you know, he's in the greenhouse and she's like kind of peering, and she has like, her outfits are great. They're like total like the 90s.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Tank top with like long skirt. I had those, you know, with the little cardigan, like the choke. Perfect.
Yes, it's amazing how the visuals of this movie, I have to say, even if like the script, the film itself maybe isn't 100% perfect, the visuals are 100% perfect, right? The cinematography, the set, as we were talking about, this house, the lighting. I mean, some of the most.
In that house.
That's right. I read that. She immediately called production saying, "I want to buy that house." They're like, it's not real. I love that Barbra Streisand saw this movie and was like, I want to live in the practical magic house. She is all of us.
Yeah.
Right?
Because like, honestly, every room was like, it was just, you really felt like you were in their house. Like it didn't feel like it was, you know?
Oh yeah. It didn't. I have to say, it did not feel like a soundstage because I know a lot of it was on a stage. I mean, I'm so naive when I watch movies and shows. You know, when you're like, wait, this was a stage. It wasn't an actual house. They do such a good job. But you know, and not even the shots. You know, the lighting. I mean, some of these beautiful shots of Sally looking up at the moon. I mean, Sandra is so well lit. And of course, like you're saying, their costumes, their wardrobe, their accessories, their hair, even the ants, you know, oh my God, all of their hair is perfection. And like going back to how you're saying with Nicole talking to Evan Rachel Wood about falling in love, just her little glasses and like the way she's posed. What do you got?
I was like, one of my friends had a 90s party and I had to bring these out because I was like, this reminds me of
Oh my God. If you are not watching, go to YouTube and look at Sabrina right now. She is giving her Nicole Kidman. I love it. Wow, those are
Now I just have to
great.
stir up some, syrup
Yes.
with like
Oh yeah.
whatever they're gonna put in. I guess we're gonna
Get
try
your
to kill
book
them.
out. Get your book, get your cardigan,
Out,
put on those
get my
sunglasses.
candles.
You are ready to be an Owens sister.
Give me a 90s music, put it on, Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
yes.
I had to. I found them and I was like, I have to like put them on for a second.
This movie really is such a vibe. And I have to say, and maybe I shouldn't even say this out loud, but I don't know, I feel like I could maybe say it as a gay man. I'm actually really surprised that the film was directed by a man and directed by a straight man. I don't know, because it has such a wonderful embrace of femininity. Like
it really is. Maybe that's from the crew or the people that
I guess so. Maybe maybe the Robin, one of the female writers, because two men co-wrote it. So there's definitely some male. I should have looked up. I'm not sure who was the DP, but yeah, maybe just having a mostly female cast, but like it definitely has a wonderful feminine touch. And I'm sure some haters out there don't like that, but guess what? tough shit. But I'm surprised. I knew it was Griffin Dunne. I knew that a long time ago, but I'm just impressed. And I even Googled him. I'm like, has he been married to a woman? And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, he's been married to 2 women. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, a straight man made a very perfectly feminine film, and I love that. I think it's great.
What would you do, Julie? What wouldn't I do for the right guy?
Since we're wrapping up, let's talk about the ending scene. Tell me, it's lit beautifully. They look great in their hats. Like, what do you love most about that?
I don't know what it is. It's just like, because the whole movie, they don't look like the typical witch,
Exactly.
They're in their normal, like, everyday clothes. And I think because it's Halloween, they're putting on that like show for people. So they have to get those black hats, and the black gowns and the brooms.
And it's fun because it's sort of like they're talked about all the time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, on Halloween, they fly, Yeah. So now they're like, hey, you want to see us fly? Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, something about that. I just love it. I don't know what it is. It's just like that visual of all of them. And
it also kind of reminds me of movies like The Worst Witch. Remember with Fairuza and Tim Curry? It's it's a nice way to end it because it's just, now we're just embracing witchy culture, witchy vibes. We are just going full Halloween and it's fantasy.
Oh yeah, and you don't even think it's like because honestly, like I watch this movie year round, and I know like it comes out mostly like this time because it's witchy and it has a Halloween scene at the end. But honestly, like this movie, I can watch it any day of the year because I think it's also based in like March in the beginning of the movie.
I'm so glad you brought that up because later in the movie, Aidan Quinn says this is Sally Owen's admission or testimony or whatever. It's March 8th, 1998. Yeah. I'm like, oh. That's so weird. And how it's rare when we hear, like, unless it's like a period piece, it's so rare to actually like, hear a random date like that. So I wonder if I couldn't find anything. I'm sure maybe it's out there somewhere. I wonder if the movie was originally like meant for a spring, like maybe a Valentine's Day release, but then they pushed it to October because it's just so random to have included that.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
And also, and you're right. I just realized, so if it takes, the movie, most of the chunk of the movie takes place in like early spring, late winter, early spring, which also is so funny because, wait a minute, March 8th in Massachusetts is still freezing and it's not pretty. So this whole West Coast thing.
For roses. Yeah.
Right? No one's wearing. Exactly. Nothing's growing. I mean, I guess the roses are supposed to be supernatural. So actually that would have been even more effective if there was still some snow on the ground because, as we know, on the East Coast, Northeast, it still snows in March, even in Jersey and New York. So that would have actually sold it even more as like, why do you have roses? That actually would have been really good. So that's another weird thing. But then I guess we fast forward once Jillian is cured of Jimmy's evil spirit. I guess the ending is now on Halloween, so we're just about like 6 months ahead, 7 months ahead. But also, speaking of Jimmy's spirit, I do have to just say, I love the way it looks, how he's gray and his eyes like shine. But I do feel like the stare down between him and Aidan Quinn is a little too long. Does you agree? I feel like they're just circling each other for quite a while. I'm like,
I don't know what it was giving me. It was giving me Charmed vibes.
Yes.
A little bit. The
Definitely.
whole thing. The stare down. Yeah. And that music. It was like, that's, I'm like, there's so many weird elements happening. I'm like, am I taking this seriously? But am I laughing?
Right. I know. I'm like, we're really lingering on this showdown.
You're saying what I'm feeling is one of your spells.
Yeah, it's not real.
You know, all relationships have problems.
I miss Nicole's lovely singing in the car, which I love. You know, I love that song when she's singing the Joni Mitchell, you know.
Yes. And,
you know, it's great.
I forgot to say, I do love how they manipulate the lighting and like, it's like kind of like a green screen or something as she's driving all night. Yeah. Totally. And we didn't get a chance to really talk much about the pool and how she's dancing with these guys in the very beginning. I know she's such a wild child.
There are great scenes, but I feel like overall, it's just like, I love everything. It's one of those like I said, it's a cult classic film. I just think it overall, like, yes, there's moments where it doesn't make sense and weird stuff, but it's just like a feel good, you know, like when you watch it, you just feel good after watching it. It's not like you're like, it's like spooky or weird or like sad. It's just a feel good movie at the end. And like, it kind of makes you want to like dabble in.
Oh, definitely.
Like being an herbologist maybe, or like doing like your own book of spells, you know, like feeling like a little witchy, you know, even if that means lighting a candle, you know, when you're journaling or like listening to music, or like, you know, it's really about like, it's for like, we're talking about like bringing it to a full circle at the end. Like, what is witch to me? Like, that's just really taking in like your own power. And utilizing it in the best way possible, you know.
Love that. Wow. Well said. Look at you, Sabrina. You need to write your own spell book or something.
Do I?
Oh yeah. But no, you bring up a great point. Yeah, it's that. And also, even for anyone who maybe who doesn't feel inspired to like just kind of like read up on some witchcraft or anything, right? I think also it just makes you want to just cozy up at home. Like you said, light a candle, just like love where you live and kind of just like internalize and just, you know, because that's a lot of the fun is them just hanging out at home, and there are so many things to occupy them and for them to create, which I also think I really gravitate towards that, you know, just enjoying your space and just being private, you know, and making your own magic in whatever way that is.
Like, and also facing your fears. I mean, I still feel like I'm doing that, you know, every day. I think we do that throughout our whole life, you know, with certain things. And I think having that courage, you know, like as Anne Francis was saying, you know, I think something great to take with you, you know, just be yourself.
And hopefully no big fat frogs are going to puke up a ring on your lawn, because that would be quite a sight. And I just feel like none of them are that like scared or freaked out by it. I'd be like, what the hell is happening? But
the movie didn't make me not want to ever drink tequila though, but tequila's never really been my friend. So
see, I do like tequila, and I gotta be honest, I'm ready for a margarita right now. I don't think I'm ready for shots of tequila.
Like when they're drinking it straight, you know. I'm like,
when they're just drinking it straight. Yeah, totally. I know. And how Sandra grabs it from him. That was actually really smart in the car. I forgot how smart she was.
Yes.
She's like yelling at him. Give me that. I want a sip or whatever.
That's when you realize that she does have more power. She really does have more power than she realizes, because I think she really, in her mind, she wanted him dead. And I think she like manifested that with the belladonna.
Without even really thinking much about it. Yeah, she totally did. You're right.
I think if you're going to ask me, like, do I consider myself like a witchy? I really feel like that's why I love this movie, because I feel so in tune with both, you know, that whole family, like Sally and Jillian, like that's like the type of person like I feel like I am, in a sense, you know, protecting my family or protecting my friend, you know, protecting the people I love. And
I'll just quickly say, like, I think it's pretty cool that all my life I've not only been interested in this, but I'm friendly. I'm friends with people who are also either interested or actually, you know, practice Wicca or whatever. So I think that's pretty cool, because pretty much all my life, even if it was fleeting, you know, a lot of friends like you, like even my coworker Michael, shout out to Michael, like I'm around some witchy people, and I think that's pretty cool, you know, even if it's not super obvious. It's just like an interest in it, and I think
Same.
I'm in good
Yeah.
company. You
and
know,
there's just, it's a lot of a bigger circle than we know.
oh
'cause I
yeah,
think everyone-
definitely.
And I think, because I think it helps people believe in themselves more, kind of have that extra
Absolutely.
power,
It's
that
better than a
courage.
religion. You just sort of, look to the earth, look to nature, look inside, right?
Ladies, pick up your brooms.
Is this okay? It's all I have.
Now's the time to expand our little coven. I invited a bunch of other Practical Magic fans to join the party. My friends Sarah Menequal, Shayna Bellin, Michael Staley, Kadu Luongo, and Mike Pratt, who stars in my new short horror comedy, Cast and Kill. Here's Sarah.
I think for some movie watchers and enjoyers, there's this trope of having a certain movie that you associate closely with a holiday or a season. That is certainly kind of the kind of movie consumer I am. And for me, my movie of fall, not just Halloween, but fall, is Practical Magic. Everything from the scenery, the infamous house, the margarita dance, the music, everything to me is the signifier and the kickoff to fall. I had the soundtrack on my birthing playlist. I wish I could have bangs like Sandra Bullock's. I wish I had a coven that could help me kill a man 3 times. And I just think that this movie is so delightful and really just an amazing throwback at this point to a moment in time in terms of fashion and what movies were to audiences. It's lighthearted, it's fun, it's silly, and ultimately it's really happy too. I love it.
Hi, my name is Shayna, and I'm calling to talk about the movie Practical Magic. It is such a great combination of romance, family, and drama. I actually try to make a point of watching it once a year. I think one reason this film has held up over time is because it explores themes of confronting family trauma and the path towards acceptance by society, which are really timeless themes that I think resonate with most people. The lore is great. There's something so fantastic about thinking you can cast a spell or make a potion and solve any problem in your life. The set is beautiful. The Owens house that was constructed for the film is exactly what I would expect. Actors are superb. Sandra Bullock could do no wrong in the 90s, and I love seeing Stockard Channing, who isn't in enough movies these days. The movie is also just scary enough. Every time Jimmy comes back to life or possesses Sally, I jump, or at least I'm really creeped out. My favorite scenes are the margarita scene, probably everyone's favorite, and the finale when the whole family jumps off of the roof with umbrellas. It is so whimsical and heartwarming. I loved this movie then, and I hope to watch it with my years in the years to come.
Hi, this is Michael Staley. And the reason I love Practical Magic, even 25 years later, is because unlike Witches of Eastwick or The Craft or The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, all of which I love, that form of witchcraft is tied into something dark and malevolent. Whereas in Alice Hoffman's world of witchcraft, it's tied into or rooted in nature and family and community. And there's a very strong female empowerment narrative about that. I grew up in a family with a mother that was a green witch and grandmothers that were kitchen witches. And I had a very strong relationship with my mother's 3 sisters, much like Sally and Jillian have to their aunts in this film. And I have a very unique relationship with my 4 nieces. And I have 3 sisters now who are my witch sisters, all of whom are practicing witches. It's every year I watch this film, I find something new and lovingly valuable to appreciate and discover. And let's face it, Diane Wiest and Stockard Channing and Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman are all at the top of their game in this film and this story. And there is just so much to love and appreciate. And the line that sticks out the most to me is that witchcraft isn't about spells and potions. Magic has power because we believe it does. And there's no more important message in the world today than that.
Hi Mark, my name is Kadu Luongo. I'm from Brazil and I'm a huge Practical Magic fan. My favorite part about the movie is the bond between the sisters. I think Sandra and Nicole did a great job. Their chemistry is amazing. And I really love the soundtrack, one of my favorites from the 90s. So that's it. Happy anniversary, witches. Bye-bye.
My name is Mike Pratt. I am an actor and writer and avid Practical Magic fan. For me, the first thing I think about when it comes to Practical Magic, besides the house, which is the most beautiful house to never exist, is the amazing soundtrack. There is something that is just so perfect about Stevie Nicks being the one whose voice kind of scores the film. And Crystal just perfectly captures the essence of what I think practical magic stands for. And I love the brief A Case of You, Joni Mitchell moment too. Well, Nicole Kidman makes her admittedly a little weird cosmic journey across the country. And while everyone is busy debating whether or not they're more of a Sandra Bullock or Nicole Kidman, I'm more than happy to fall somewhere between Diane Wiest and Stockard Channing, who dip from the plot at the first sniff of danger, which is very me.
Last question of the show for you, Sabrina. Do you want to see a sequel? Because there have been rumors, and there's always like a fake poster going around every year of like Practical Magic 2, and people think it's real. Would you want a sequel, or is there a need for it? I don't know if there's a need.
Those left alone. I think if they wanted to do, I think I was reading up on like they were talking about the series, like maybe HBO would pick it up or a streaming service with like her books, because Alice Hoffman.
Exactly.
She wrote Practical Magic, and then she has, other ones that are in that whole universe. And I think if they did like a series like that, I think that's something that, I'd be interested in. I'd see like, I don't know about the cast because we're so used to like the movie.
I know. Big shoes to fill.
Right. But I feel like there's so many series, that are like that now with like movies that were done in the past. So I don't think it would be bad. I think it would be interesting because they do have a lot of information or a
lot of source material to comb through. I think that could be a pretty solid TV series. I think that could be pretty great. I agree.
Practical Magic 2 unless everybody was back again. It was the same exact cast.
But even if everyone's back, I mean, what's the story and how do you top it? And I think Sandra has only ever done one sequel, if I remember correctly, and that was Speed 2, and she hates it. So I don't.
Congeniality 2, wasn't there?
Oh no, you're right, Miss Congeniality 2. Duh, you're right. Which I don't think she loved that one either. So I feel like I've heard her say like, I don't want to do any more sequels.
Do it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Nicole could. I could see. I mean, she's had some hits and misses, mostly hits, but but that's my big fear is even if they're all back, I don't know if you can strike lightning twice, like.
That's how I feel about a certain movie that happened last year, but I don't want to make anyone upset.
I know what you mean. I know. I hear ya. We're like the sisters and we can read each other's minds. I know what you're saying and I agree. Thank you, everyone, for listening to or watching this magical episode of Release Date Rewind. Thanks so much to Sabrina Santoro for coming back and getting witchy with me. And thank you to our Coven members for their cameos about this movie, Sarah, Shayna, Michael, Mike, and Kadu. Leave a rating or review if you liked what you heard or watched, and follow me on Instagram at Release Date Rewind to see more content from our chat and from this movie. Thank you, Straw Hat Media, Greg Clements, and Kyle Motzinger. And next time, everybody, we're celebrating the groundbreaking stop-motion classic, The Nightmare Before Christmas, just in time for a happy Halloween.